Hello and welcome to Boss Talks episode 11. I have a special guest today, Marcel Thomas. He is with Be Home Student Housing or Student Living, I should say. He's general manager of a community in Las Vegas, and he likes to, I'll let him declare his title fully, but he is really fun to talk to. And I actually got to meet him a few months ago through, I believe it was a Facebook group that I initially met him, but he actually is a customer of ours. He was a customer of ours, then he moved to another company, which was really sad for us, but then he came back. So that might be something we discuss as well. But other than that, it's going to be a great conversation with Marcel as he brings his many years of experience in student housing and can educate all those that maybe have never experienced that side of the business. So, without further ado, I bring Marcel. Now, I want you to declare for yourself what you would prefer to be known as on site.
Technically, I'm a general manager, but unofficially, the high priestess of property management. I'm still trying to get it on my business card.
Yes. Yeah. You could always have your side business card that you just introduce yourself. Maybe that slips in there.
TBD.
But thanks again for being here. I'd love for you to just explain or share with everybody how long you've been in the business, how you even got into multifamily / student, because I know you may have started in that side and then you transitioned over to the student side, and just explain like what's the difference, because maybe people don't know, because I didn't know. You were a very big help for me to better understand really what some of the differences are.
So I got into student, but really a lot of us who work in student have the exact same kind of narrative and how we got into this industry. I was in college getting a culinary degree because I thought that's what I want to do with my life, is work in kitchens 15 hours a day with no holidays. That just, sign me up. So I was in culinary school getting a degree in pastry, and I lived at a student property at that time in Birmingham, and I just started working in the office part-time while I was in school, and I ended up really liking it because, nobody is in kindergarten at career day saying, I want to be a property manager. I don't think anybody ever plans on being in this industry. It just happens. Well, at least that's what happened with me. So I ended up really liking it. So I worked at that property for a couple of years, and then I actually did work for a couple of years in the hospitality industry. Quickly discovered this is not for me. I enjoy weekends off too much and having personal time. And so I left that industry, came back, and I worked on the multifamily side for a few years. And then I just got very bored. It's like, I just need some excitement in my life again. And so then I hopped back into student, and I have been back in student now for almost 8-9 years.
So when it comes to student versus multifamily, what draws you to student housing?
I think student housing, it's a lot more fast paced, I would say, than multifamily. Because multifamily, a building gets built. That first year with the lease up is very exciting. But then once it's leased up, it kind of slows down. You're just leasing a few apartments every month. Whereas student, we essentially do a lease up every single year.
That's crazy.
It is just very fast paced and just usually have a lot, like our budgets for resident events are just like insane compared to what I was used to in multifamily. So it's almost like driving in the right lane on the highway, assuming you're using that lane correctly. So that's the main difference.
Okay.
If you take somebody in multifamily and put them at a student housing property, it is like getting thrown into a cold pool. Like, it is a shock how different it is.
Yeah, and you just went through the big event for the year, the turn. What is there a special name for this time of year?
Turn, hell on earth, nightmare on Elm Street. Like you could literally just pick any of those, and it would
Okay.
be the Super Bowl. Like all of those would be equally appropriate to describe turn.
Yeah, can you explain exactly how that goes for all student housing across the country?
Yeah, and again, this is one of the big differences between student housing and multifamily. So in student housing, all of our leases end at the same time every year. And usually the standard date for most properties is July 31st is when, if residents did not renew, their lease ends on the 31st. And then our move-in day is typically 2.5 weeks later. So for us, our move-in day this year was August 19th. So those 2.5 weeks in between move out and move in, that is turn. That is the time of year where we have literally those 2.5 weeks to get all these units moved out. We have to do inspections, take all the pictures, process all the damage charges, get the FMOs sent out. At the same time, coordinating with vendors to get all the units cleaned, carpet cleaned, carpet replaced a lot in some cases, appliances swapped out. There's usually during the middle of time, you have a huge furniture delivery. So you have to swap out old furniture with new furniture. It is essentially organized chaos for 2.5 weeks.
That's so crazy. I don't like, how do you have enough people for that? Because during the typical time of the year, you need to maintain the property,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. For 2.5 weeks, you need to, like, I don't know,
Organize an
triple,
army. Yeah.
quadruple.
Yeah. You say, I literally become a general during turn. So with the turn, like usually you'll hire a vendor because
Uh-huh.
obviously maintenance, there's no way your normal maintenance team would be able to handle turn by
Yeah.
themselves. So during turn, we literally hire an army of people. So we'll hire a army of painters, an army of cleaners, and we essentially supplement some of the office staff to also help with maintenance. Some properties hire temp workers during turn. It just really depends on the property. So here we don't hire temp workers because we have enough staff to handle it. But for the actual turning of the units, absolutely.
Yeah, so you rely mainly on third party essentially to get through it. Like you have your own staff, but then to really power through, you have to.
Correct. Yeah, because there's really two different facets of turn. There's like the actual unit part of turn where we're trying to get the units turned and reset and ready. But then there's also like the admin side of turn people forget about. And the admin side can be just as daunting because you have 19 days to get almost, in our case this year, like 300 plus moving packets ready. 300 keys, make sure they work and cut. 300 keys to program. And also the assistant manager typically during that time period has that very short amount of time to process 300 plus FMOs and get these people their final bill sent with their charges. It's just a lot all around.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And something I learned, you and I talked, it was supposed to be, I think, a 15-minute call that turned into an hour and a half, which is okay because it was really good. And I really enjoyed talking to you and getting feedback. But one of the things that I got out of that is from a technology standpoint, integrations and making sure that the different tools in your tool belt, tech wise, all work well together, or make it easy to push a button and make it all the units turn over in a very simple way so that you're not
Yes.
having to touch 15 different things or more, whatever. And that's really an interesting thing to take note of because that's not a true statement. You want to make it easy for multifamily, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it's not as detrimental to a property to it not be so easy. But to student housing, if you can't just push a button, that means you literally have to go into every single profile or every single.
Yes. Yes. So integration in student housing is the name of the game. I'll take our Amazon Hub, for example. we use the Amazon Hub locker system here for residence packages. And that entire system is automated. When a resident moves out, they are removed from that system and no longer active to get packages. And the second we move residents in, they are activated in the hub without us having to do, since we never have to touch it at all. Because yeah, there is a lot of like manual things you have to do during turn, like keys, case in point. There's no way around it. We have to program 300 keys to 300 different doors to work, essentially. And there's a lot of different tedious projects that we have to do during turn, in addition to all the normal things that have to take place as well.
Everything has to work right or big problems happen, I'd only assume. So that makes a lot of sense. So your feedback was really helpful, and I know you talked to even one of our founders about that. So I appreciate your feedback because it's our goal to make it better, and we can't do that without good feedback. So it's very helpful.
I do what I can.
Yeah. No, it's really great to have and we do our best in general to get that feedback from people, but some people are shy about giving that. And I think, well, you're not.
At all. I wish I was. Sometimes my life would be so much easier, but yeah, feedback is never something I am short of.
Yeah. No, and that's okay. That's really good because from one thing, you're just trying to make it better for yourself, which in turn makes it better for other people in your position, because if those changes were to be made, that only incrementally makes everybody else's life better. So it's important. And you guys you're the ones doing the job.
I try to look out for the whole community, all of us in the thick of it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I don't remember what year, but you started a student housing group on Facebook, right? Weren't you the?
Yes. I was a member of the multifamily share space, but then I realized a lot of that was again strictly geared towards multifamily, and again. There is some overlap, obviously, between multifamily and student that is common issues. But that's like, we need a space for like student people. Like, I need a space for my people where we can talk about the issues and ideas specific to our industry. So I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I forget. Yeah, I started Student Housing Professionals, which is a group strictly geared and catered towards student housing. And I think as of today, we have like almost 2,000 members.
Yeah, you're getting up there. Yep.
Just a little bit, not trying to brag.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's great. Because you're right. It is different. It's housing, so there's that commonality, but outside of that, there's definitely some differences. You have one age group, first of all, between here and here, and they're all new to living on their own. So there's that.
Yes, the amount of work orders we've gotten even this week. My AC doesn't work, and then we get there, and they have it on and not auto. So I have to explain to them. It's a learning curve. Thankfully, nobody this year has put dish liquid in the dishwasher yet. Knock on wood, but that's coming too. But yeah, like that is like another one of the big differences between multifamily and student. Multifamily, you really get everybody, young professionals, retirees, everybody. Whereas we get our demographic is very specific on who our general renters are. And they rent on a very predictable cycle too. Typically, our renters usually 4 years is like the max. That's how long it takes to get an undergrad degree typically. Whereas so you have some properties, multifamily, where people have lived there since 14 BC and do not plan on moving out literally ever.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you this year had a 60% renewal rate, which sounds really good. What is typical for student housing?
I think what's typically good for most days, 30 to 40 is you're doing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Sounds really low.
But and also, there's a lot of different variables here, like outside of your control. Like how big was the freshman class that is cycling through your property? But yeah, we got 60% this year, which was the highest in our company. Not that I'm bragging, just throw it out there.
Like a boss.
We actually get that every year. We have, since we've opened, we have claimed the title of having the highest renewal percentage within our company.
And what do you think attributes to that? What do you think is the drivers of getting such a high rate?
To be fair, one of the things is that our market is there's really only two competitors here. There's us, and then there's one other property. So we don't have a very super competitive market. Whereas, like take some of us like College Station or Tallahassee. I mean, they have 30, 40 plus properties in that market. In Vegas, there's really only 2 to 3 properties that do student housing. But also, too, like we just do a very good job, I think, rolling out our renewals every year, and also creating a sense of urgency with our residents is probably the biggest reason why I think we have such a good renewal percentage. We just do a very good job convincing them you need to renew because literally we're going to be full come this time,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it's either this or you're homeless. So just choose.
Yeah. And you're next to UNLV, right?
Yes, we are right across the street from UNLV.
Okay. Is that a situation where there's a lot of commuter students as well? Like,
So that used to be the case. Yes,
okay.
like us and our competitor, we all opened the same year, which is 2019. So before 2019, there really wasn't many purpose-built student housing on properties serving UNLV. There was one, I believe, and the kind of life cycle of students at UNLV was they would live on campus the first year because they do have a first year requirement, and then a sophomore through a senior year they would typically find a house somewhere like Henderson or Summerlin, and yeah, they would. It was known as a commuter campus. And now with there's been 3 properties opened up in the past 3 years, which I think have added around like 2,000 student beds. It is really getting away from that stigma of being commuter campus to being a more traditional college campus where students are because when you have students who actually like live close to campus, they're more likely to join a sorority or fraternity or join any kind of student organization. We are pretty much across the street from the basketball game. So our people that live in our apartment can just randomly say, hey, let's go to a basketball game. Whereas if you live 20 miles away, absolutely not. I will watch it on YouTube. I'm not about to drive 20 miles for a basketball game. You've lost your mind.
And I'm actually about to go to Vegas for a conference. So it's been a while. What is it about Vegas that you like?
I think normally there's student housing communities. Sometimes they're located in just not so much fun places to live. Like they're like
Yeah.
very nothing's really wrong with that. But I'll use like Tuscaloosa as an example in Alabama. That's why I'm from Alabama. Like Tuscaloosa and the University of Alabama, that is very much a college town. There is nothing really there but the university.
Right.
So from just a personal standpoint, like, yeah, it's a great market as far as your student population and all that, but am I going to convince many friends to come fly and visit me in Tuscaloosa or Kalamazoo, Michigan? No. No one gets vacation time and says, get me to Kalamazoo. So what's nice about living in Vegas is that this is like one of the first times I lived in a city where, yeah, it's a great property, a great market, but also too, it is very easy to convince friends and family when they want to come visit to actually come see me. Because
Yeah.
I worked in other markets where literally nobody came and saw me ever. Just because there's just not much there for them. But here, from a personal standpoint, yes, this is much better.
I can see that. There's definitely more to do.
It's kind of annoying now, I'm not gonna lie, because people come to Vegas and like Vegas just does something to people
Yes.
where they come here and they just lose themselves. And I've lived here long enough now to where I just no. And my friends, yeah, let's go to the strip. No, I was like, I'm tired. Or it's 3 a.m. What's the next move? Bed. It's 3 a.m. What are you talking about? But now when my friends come, like I'm very strict with them. Like I will go to the strip with you once. I will be out of there by 10 o'clock. I will go to Fremont with you once. I am gone by 8 o'clock. What y'all do after that is entirely up to you. But
Yeah.
no, absolutely not. I'm not about to be at the strip at 2 in the morning. You have lost your mind.
Yeah. So did you do student in another environment other than Vegas before?
Oh, yeah. So I did Knoxville, Tennessee, Murfreesboro, Normal, Illinois, Birmingham, Alabama. And I was in a traveling position for a year and I got to travel to a bunch of different markets. So yeah, I've experienced quite a few.
So is there a difference between students in Vegas versus students in other parts? I'm just curious because I would assume people come into Vegas to go to college, they're like even more wanting to party.
I will say, like, anybody that graduates with a degree in Vegas, I am very impressed with them as an adult because, like, people don't realize like how small Vegas is. I mean, there's the airport, then right next to the airport is UNLV, and then to the left of the airport is a strip. Like, it's all in one area. Vegas is actually a very small city. So yeah, some of the kids, they struggle and succumb to temptation, but most of them rise above it. But yeah, there's definitely a difference in students based on like where you're at, especially like the SEC schools, especially. I can go on campus here in Vegas and give away a Port Authority cheap cotton t-shirt. They'll take it, not ask any questions. If I go to Alabama and I'm giving away t-shirts, they will literally, is this a comfort color? No, sorry. It's a free t-shirt, but it is very much a thing. Like some campuses, it's just a different breed of student, to say the least.
No, I can see that. I can only imagine the excitement of a student coming to Vegas as a freshman and thinking, wow, this is like Mecca for parties.
Yes. I don't know how they do it, to be quite, and it's not like the university is far. Like the university is, I could literally throw a rock from my property and hit MGM. Okay, not literally, but I'll get pretty close. But yeah, it is like this weird kind of juxtaposition where you have an institute of education on one side, and on the other side, literally the party capital of the world, where Vegas never has a downtime. Like the strip is packed always. There's always things going on. So I really applaud the kids that come here and are able to resist that and focus on their school and their schooling, if you will. But it is a lot of temptation to resist, to the least.
Yeah, it is. When we talked previously, you mentioned kind of philosophies that you have as a leader. Maybe you can just share them.
I have a lot of different philosophies, but I think like half my staff is watching right now, so hopefully they're not like laughing behind their screens. I would like to think that I am tough, but very fair with everybody. And then one thing I always try to do too is identify people on my staff that will replace me at some point, because at some point I will leave here and I don't know where I'll go or what my next adventure will be. But I think it's always super important that you train your team to where when that time comes where if you do leave, you've trained them enough where they can easily step into your shoes and keep it moving. And I think a lot of times people don't do that. And so what you hear a lot of in like our industry, and this is I think multifamily and student, is you'll have a property that has had the same manager, has always performed, worked great, a top performing property. And then, that manager leaves, a new manager comes in that worked there as well. And then it just does a 160. And I think that kind of goes back to the philosophy of, did we train that person? Did I train that person to replace me?
Yeah.
When I leave here, then this property will still be like my legacy. And so it doesn't reflect well on me if I leave here and it just tanks, which it won't obviously because it is in good hands.
Yeah, that's good. And when you say tough, what do you mean by tough?
God, how do I word this? I compare myself to almost like a sports coach.
Okay.
In that I do not let small things like get past. And that's why our property does have such like a high review, is because of our attention to detail. And I don't ignore small things. And sometimes like my staff, yes, they do think I am a psycho, that I'm like, why has this trash bag been here for 3 days? And so, sorry, it was just there. Okay, if it's been there 3 days and we've all walked past it, surely at some point someone would pick it up. And I think having that attention to detail is what sets us apart from a lot of our competitors, is that we are always finding different ways to improve, doing different improvements and listening to the residents. But yeah, just holding a high bar. And I hold my staff to a pretty high bar as well.
No, it's good. And then I think you mentioned you like to have fun.
Yes, I do. I think I try to find like that balance between being like, a tough coach, but like a cool mom as well. Not a regular mom, a cool mom. So I'm real big on like, taking care of the staff. Like we do a lot for our staff here. We have a lot of traditions that I've established. Every Christmas we take the staff to a nice Christmas dinner somewhere nice. Before turn, we typically have like pre-turn dinner or something like that. We try to have different contests and things to get the staff like really involved. So music especially, I am a real big fan of just, we just need to take a dance break, y'all. Stay stressful. Just dance out real quick. If you're not having fun at work in like some capacity, what is the point?
You do work more than you do other things, so it
Exactly
makes sense.
If I'm going to be here 8 hours a day, you best believe I would do the electric slide at least once. Okay.
I think you need to start putting that on some TikTok. I don't know. I
have tried, and I have to sound like that old person. Like I've really tried TikTok. And I can't watch them. They're very. I just can't now. I just can't.
I think you should try again. I'm sure you could find something humorous to do. I think I saw some pictures of you for Halloween and stuff. Pretty good.
We take Halloween at Echo very seriously. It's like our annual thing that we do, and we do not come to play. I'll just say that. But no, I think my staff, they said I have a corgi named Daenerys, who is the light of my life. She normally would be here with me today right now, but it's her birthday, so she had daycare because I get a free day on her birthday, so obviously I'm gonna take care of that. But the staff has been determined that they want to make her TikTok famous because she is literally like the mascot of our property. Like people like Daenerys more than they like us sometimes. They just come down, say hey to her, not say a word to me in the elevator. Okay, it's very awkward, but sure. But yes, I will work on the TikTok thing.
I think that's a good idea. Use your dog as the way to suck people in. Everybody likes a cute dog.
She really does. And she's so slick with it too. Like she knows when class changes are, so she will literally go to the front desk and just like lie there because she knows she's about to get a million.
Yeah, you should work on that. I'll watch. I'm sure others would watch. We have some people that are watching the live they're egging you on. They think that you should definitely do a TikTok.
If people want it, I guess I have to.
You have to give the people what they want.
Give people what they want. Yes,
I think you could more than muster enough energy and things to entertain the crowd. So that would be great. So thank you so much for being on the show. I wanted to ask you a couple questions before you go. And one of them is, being that we're called Community Boss, our company, wanted to ask you, how do you like to encourage building community, whether it's at your property or personally, or maybe both?
How do I encourage building community? Actually, I think in regards to work, I think resident events play a huge role in that, and intentional resident events that actually will help build communities. I know, obviously, if I order a pizza and give away pizza, yes. Will they always take it and that'll be a well-received event? Yes. So we try to have like more events where residents actually are interacting. Like tomorrow we're doing like a DIY, like a make your own doormat, and it'll involve like residents who don't know each other sitting at a table doing a craft project together, and hopefully in the ideal world make friends with one another and build that sense of community. I think it's important, like if you know your neighbors and know who's living in your building, then you do end up getting a sense of community. Like this is not just like a building we all live in, but this is our neighborhood.
Yeah, it helps the flow of your community with the and everything, if everybody's getting along and everything, for sure.
They don't, for the record, just so I'm clear, as much as I wish we all got along. But we do what we can.
Yeah, you do your best. And like you said, you have a big budget for doing events and things to hopefully make things better in that regard. All right, and then second question, if you were going to have somebody over for dinner at your house, what would you make?
Wait, is the question who would I have over, and then would I make them, or would I make them?
Hey, it can be both if you want to.
Okay, who? Obviously Beyonce. I would have her over because we're twins. And then what I make them is my famous cookie, because my $60,000 culinary degree that I don't use currently at least taught me how to make a really good cookie.
Nice. I want that cookie. If you got a culinary degree and cookie is the thing that you're most proud of, I want that cookie.
I'm kind of brag, but my cookies do change lives. Literally, they are that girl.
Nice. And then lastly, we are based in the Seattle area. So what's your favorite coffee?
I actually hate coffee. I think it's so disgusting.
Oh, man.
It literally is
all right, we'll forgive you. It's okay.
I forgiven. It's not been, coffee is not for me.
It's all good. It's all good. But I think everybody that's watching wants a cookie now. So you might have to start making some cookies and sending them out to everybody.
Yeah, my staff member just commented we need them ASAP. I have made them for y'all before, so I don't know what y'all are talking about. See, they just have a very short-term memory, but I've made them desserts multiple times, but it's neither here nor there.
That's funny. Marcel, thank you so much for being on Boss Talks episode 11. And for everybody that watched, we appreciate you. If you want to be on Boss Talks, all you have to do is reach out to me and share with me why you're the boss, just like Marcel, right? Because he is.
Exactly, because I'm a boss lady.
Till next time, next Wednesday, here on LinkedIn and Facebook, we are live, and we'll see you then.